So, a series of videos on theology. I don't think these are going to be the most popular videos I ever record, but I do think they are very important. As Stanley and Ryan are fond to point out, these days we're all Freudians. We are all aware of the subconscious motivations and the archetypes that we approach life with. Similarly, we are all Marxists. We all view history not as struggles between civilizations, but as internal struggles within civilization of different groups rising and falling from power. And along those same lines, we're all Christians. Christian theology is what makes up the skeleton of how we reason morally. And yet, the well has become completely poisoned over the years. Nowadays, most people hear even the hint of Christian theology, and your first thought is a Southern Baptist preacher pounding on the pulpit and screaming about hellfire and damnation. And so we have no vocabulary to describe what we're feeling and what we're thinking. It's as if we're all aware of the subconscious motivations of Freud, except we didn't know the word subconscious. We didn't know the words id, ego, and superego because the only people reading those books about Freud were screaming like lunatics all the time. That's why I'm doing these videos, is because to understand what's going on with our civilization, we need to understand who we are. And who we are is deeply informed by Christian theology. So with that in mind, let's start with the first of this series. Let's go to the Garden of Eden. Let's look at Adam and Eve, and let's study what this is actually about. The common interpretation you hear nowadays of the Garden of Eden is either a literalist interpretation that it actually happened, or it's the more common, the feminist, the atheist cult. It's about how the Bible hates women so much, how it blames Eve for the fall, and how it makes women to be completely incompetent. This is a complete misunderstanding of the story. So it starts out in the garden, and Eve allows herself to be tricked by the serpent. She allows the rationalization hamster to trick her into doing something she wanted to do already. Any of you men out there with experience with women know that women are so prone to this. They want to do something, but they know they shouldn't, so they allow themselves to be tricked into it. They rationalize a reason to do it. And in Eve's case, she let the serpent talk her into doing something she knew she wasn't supposed to do, but wanted to do. She let the serpent convince her that God secretly wanted her to eat the apple. If you want a really good exploration of this, check out C.S. Lewis's, the second book in his space trilogy. He has 2 whole chapters of the devil trying to tempt a new Eve. But Eve's not the only one that sinned there. You also have Adam. Eve allowed herself to be duped. Adam knowingly ate the apple. He didn't even have the excuse of being deceived. Right here you have the dynamic of how the sexes work, of how the relationships in our species work. Eve wanted to do something that was a bad idea, but she wanted to do it, so she found an excuse. And Adam, that eternal beta male, rather than leading his wife, rather than trying to help her not do something stupid, followed her down the path into stupid. Thus the consequences. Thus consequences for both the sexes. This is not an anti-female tract. It's a tract about how both the sexes are prone to sin, are prone to stupidity, and how it differs between the two. Women, they go and do stupid things because they rationalize a reason to do it. Men do stupid things because they're too stupid and they're too cowardly to stand up for what is right. And so then we get the expulsion from the garden. And what does it say there? With Adam, it says that his lot shall be to toil upon the earth, to try and get food from the earth, and nothing but thistles will rise from it, all of his days until he returns to dust. Let me ask you something, men. What did you do today? Did you work? Did you go and accomplish something? Because that is the nature of man, that you need a job. You need something that you are accomplishing all the time. You need to fight against the earth. You need to fight against a car that's not working, or a computer that's not operating properly, and fix the bloody thing. It's in your nature. And if you're not doing that, you're either being a complete degenerate. You're either doing drugs and drinking too much and whoring about, or you're wasting time on video games, getting a complete false sense of accomplishment out of hours and hours spent upon these things. This is the curse of man, but it is also the nature of man, that man needs to toil. Even when we're playing, even when we are playing at one of these video games, we're still toiling. That is the nature of man, and that is why video games are so much more attractive to men than they are to women. Meanwhile, Eve, to give birth in pain, and to be ruled over by her husband. Now, once again, you will hear the atheist cult, you will hear the feminists saying how this is misogyny, how this is oppressing women. That's not what it's saying. This passage is not prescriptive, it is descriptive. The fact of the matter is that Eve's daughters are going to be ruled over by a man. Period. You show me any independent woman, you show me any single mother or some accomplished career girl, and I will show you a woman that's ruled over by a man. Whether it's the CEO of her company that she slavishly worships, or a celebrity from some celebrity rag that she worships, or if it's something as abstract and simple as the corporate boyfriend. Women seek out a male to be the head of the household, to be her headship, her leader. And if it's not a man that's going to do it, it's going to be some replacement for the man. Again, not prescriptive. It's not saying women have to be ruled over by their husbands. It's saying that women will be ruled over by their husbands. And of course, the husbands come from fallen Adam. They come from beta male Adam. The husbands never quite stick up to what they're supposed to. They are never a decent leader, which is what makes the corporate boyfriend so attractive. The husband is going to fuck up. He's going to have a bad day. He's going to be a wuss every so often, but the corporate boyfriend, perfectly designed to satisfy all those female urges to submit to a strong male. So, the Garden of Eden, it's not misogyny, it is a metaphorical description for what our race is like. Next time we're going to go into dangerous territory and talk about what sin is exactly. Aurini out, folks.